Stan, I know, I'm sorry to interrupt right now, but do you know if there's a way to record breakout rooms in Zoom? Or how you do that?
I am not sure, but I
Okay,
can
I mean, I did some
put it on my
research on it, but
to look. So
I'll do some more research. I just didn't know if you had done it because I think you can. It just seemed very complicated, but I need to figure out how to do that for the planning session. So anyways.
All righty. I am going to mute everybody. So, hey, a couple things real quick. Before we get started, if you could take a moment to go to the chat, which is Alt-H on your keyboard, and go ahead and basically, I'm taking attendance, so please sign in. And I just want to just remind folks that primarily you're going to be muted, but stop me at any time. You can unmute and dive right in. I'm just trying to keep the background noise down to a minimum. If you have things, comments that you want to make, questions you want to ask, put them in the chat, and at logical places, I will stop and address your questions. So, hi, Jeff. Jeff who? Jeff who? So, anyways, let's get started. So today we are going to talk about humanizing your course. This is session number 5 of a 6-part series that we have been doing every Thursday. And this is based on the OSCQR rubric, which it is basically a quality review rubric for online courses. But I would say, honestly say, regardless of the rubric, everything is applicable to face-to-face, to hybrid, regardless of modality. I think you can apply a lot of the same processes. So, first thing is, online courses have been labeled as being boring, isolating. A lot of people say they suck. And I would have to say they suck because they were not put together well, right? You can have some really fantastic online courses, but it's a matter of putting the time and energy. And most of the time, the reasons that they are boring and they're isolating is because they're missing the human element. They are nothing more than correspondence courses. So your task is to create courses that are engaging, that have the human element in there, okay? Because we don't want students to be out there boring and be bored, because they will leave the class. There's a lot of different reasons that a student will leave the class. If they are dealing with technology issues and it frustrates them, they'll leave the class. If they find out that it's a correspondence course, they will leave the class. If you have a choice between taking a correspondence course and going to a seminar with other people and networking, what would you do? Probably do the networking thing, okay? So same with our classes. So you want to create a class that's people are going to jump into and really be excited about the content of the classes, okay? So my job today is to guide you through these principles dealing with the OSCQR rubric. So Sarah, to answer your question, where do I find the OSCQR rubric information? At the end of this session today, I will be sharing a link exactly to that content, what we are talking about today. So stay to the end for this special package that I put together just for you guys. No one else is getting it except for you guys, okay? So hang on. All right, so the first one, and you don't have to read the content on the right. It's just an example. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to set expectations in your course. When students are going to get feedback from you, when you're going to answer questions, when they should expect emails, how frequent, all that needs to be clearly put into your course. Remember, for online students, they don't have the benefit of right after class, hey, could you explain that again? Right? They don't have that benefit. So let me ask a question real quick regarding feedback. Do you clearly provide expectations for timely and regular feedback? So go ahead and participate. I'm expecting 9 answers because there's 9 of you here. Four out of 9, 7 out of 9, 8 out of 9. Oh my God, the excitement. 9 out of 9. Ooh, rock on. Thank you guys. And this is where we're at. Now, some of you probably may not have an online course yet, so you're saying no, but this is something that you definitely want to make sure that you are as clear as possible. Just, if you were to look at this blind in your course, would you go back and say, yeah, I know exactly when I expect to hear from my instructor. I know if I send a question, I'm expecting to hear back within X amount of time. The same thing for an assignments. If I turn in my assignments, when will I get those assignments back? So it looks like we have a little work to do in that area, but something to work on. All right, moving on, okay? So as you are going from term to term and you're doing these courses, one of the things that I recommend putting in your course is a frequently asked question area. That these are common questions that you hear over and over and over again from students, and you're just getting ahead of the game. That when somebody asks a question, that you draft a nice answer or put together a video or something of that you can go and do that. Yes, Shannon.
I've been taking some online courses, and I have to say, I just took biostatistics, which hurt my feelings a great deal. But one of the things that really helped me in this course was the Ask the Question discussion group.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's put up as one of the discussions, and that helped me so much. So I have in my online courses now the Ask a Question and also share interesting articles or materials, which nobody does. So I'm going to try to get them to do that more, but.
Oh yeah. I might as well just have you do this today. You are definitely tracking on some of the most important things. This should be, you can have an online frequently asked questions, Q&A, questions about the course, whatever section at the very top of your discussions that is permanently there and should be there throughout the entire class. Yeah, absolutely. And exactly for those reasons that other folks in the class often have the same question. So in my syllabus, I tell them, please do not email me a question. First, go to this discussion area, post your question. I will respond there, unless it's personal, right? If it's personal, then certainly I will attend to it. But in most cases, it's not. It's just, how do I do this? And so there it's there. Now, I usually, as I redo my course, I take those things and I beef up my course in different places, right? So this is basically finding the pinch points and providing additional explanation. The other thing I do is I use Google Docs for like my syllabus and my assignments and everything. And I turn on comments, not just view, but comments. So if they have a question about a part of my syllabus or a part of an assignment, I allow them to add questions so I can make the assignment better and clarify. So just an idea that you may want to put out there. In your course, having a little video that says, what can you expect from me? Right? Just getting out there, and it can be part of your welcome video, but somewhere out there that you are letting folks know what your expectations are, and also how they can expect that you will respond, you know, in timely manner. So throw that out there, that you should have that certainly in your welcome area, okay? Setting expectations for grades. Now, once again, this could be a face-to-face class, a hybrid class, but just being very clear up front, when, you know, they turn in an assignment, here's when I'm going to get it back to you, right? This is normally when you, if you don't hear from me by this time, ping me. But otherwise, this is when I expect to get back to you, okay? So just don't leave them hanging, right? Have that communication, that interaction between them, between you and them. That's what you're trying to do in this humanizing your course. All right, expectations. Let's do this, your interactions. So your expectations are clearly stated. So you talk about etiquette, right? So if they're using online discussion, what's the rules of engagement? Are you telling them that? Are you telling them how the grades are weighted? Are you providing models and examples? And, you know, how often should they be checking into your class? What's the frequency? All that kind of stuff. So are you doing those things in your class? Three out of 11. Hey, we got some new people. If you have just checked in, I would love it if you would go ahead and sign in, you know, into the chat. And the chat can be found at Alt-H, PC computers. So please check in. 11 out of 11. Nice. Thank you. All right. So we believe that we're doing this. That is cool, right? Couple folks are not doing this probably as clear as you should. And once again, maybe you're not doing an online class yet, but this does not hurt for, or regardless of the class, right? Providing as clear instructions as possible and making sure that, you know, add clarity. Once again, those strategies for, you know, making your assignments where they can make comments on them, things like that, those are all good things to do, okay? So, you know, in your discussion boards, right, the number of contributions that you're doing, I have a certain way that I do discussions. My discussions are exactly the same every week. Other folks really hone in on specific things, but I'm trying to apply some of that andragogy stuff, which is, you know, adult learning principles. So I try to really tap into what they're thinking and reflecting on and getting them to share. But the big thing is making sure they understand what would be a good discussion post. What, you know, and part of this is modeling it yourself, right? That at the beginning of it, you can kind of lay it out, you know, show how something should be done from your perspective, and you can do this. All these Sarah asked a question about my polls. You have the option of being anonymous or not. All these are anonymous. So you know, all the polls that I put up are anonymous. So I just look at the aggregate. So hope that helps there. Okay. Making sure that you're very clear on how individuals will be graded. You know, having a good grade book out there, just being clear, being upfront. But that is something that you want to take care of, okay? And like I said, provide examples of how they should post, but also if, depending on, you know, your discussions, you may want to have it titled a very specific way. I had a professor, this was before discussion boards. It was just after we moved from the quill pens that we started doing emails. He wanted them to be titled a very specific way. And that was for him to pull those things out of his email so he knew he was responding to a class. You know, that's something to think about in your discussion post, that you may want it titled a specific way. Some discussions, all they're going to be able to do is respond. In other discussions, they may be able to create their own unique posts. So just kind of setting the framework, you know, but a lot of folks don't think about that in how they do it. So you can very clearly set those parameters. This is my favorite. Oh, I didn't show the results on that last one. Sorry. The last one, setting for your expectations. We are doing pretty good. Okay. All right. New poll. Do you provide opportunities for them to know you in an online class? $11 out of 11. No, we got one no out there. Very cool. So my experience, as I have been reviewing courses, doing kind of this OSCQR review, we don't do this well enough. In a face-to-face class, they get to know everything about us, right? They get to know if we go to Starbucks before class. They get to know, you know, that you went hiking in the Adirondacks. They know, I mean, they get to know all kinds of things. You share so much stuff in a face-to-face class, but we don't do it in online classes. So a lot of students, there is quite a number that think online courses are entirely automated, that the instructor is not there, right? And you have all kinds of opportunity to be human in the class. You know, creating videos, you know, to summarize a week's discussion, for example. Opportunity, you know, when your cat walks across the screen in front of the thing. Do not edit those things out. That makes you human. I would encourage you, there's a course that I'm building right now. It's called dealing with humanizing your course. And, you know, there's an example of a video, someone sitting at a gas station and creating a video that they're putting into their class, right? Because getting gas is a natural thing, and they have a thought, oh, I want to share this in my class. So going out and creating that video is appropriate to doing that. So, so provide those opportunities. That you should have a page that is laid out telling all about you. Okay. When learners, yeah, that's my younger days before the beard. Okay. This is an opportunity for them to get to know you, for them to get to know why you teach this course you do, why you are in the field that you're in, what gets you jazzed about those kind of things. All your students have real lives. They may be dealing with kids, they may be dealing with work, they're also a student. They have a lot of these elements in there that affect the class. And so same thing for instructors, we also do that. There is a way to fix that, Jacob, and I will have to research that and get back to you. So I'll keep that in mind and try to do that, okay? The question is how you can make videos for longer than 10 minutes. One, I would probably try not to, but if you have to, there is a way that you can do that, okay? So, doing pretty good there, okay? Part of these, this humanizing moment allows you to set the tone for the course, okay, that you can make it, you know, you can make it as stiff as you want to as informal as you want, but part of that is a self-introduction to tell about your background, and, you know, share links while you're doing that. You know, here's where you can find me on LinkedIn, right? You may not want to share your Facebook, but LinkedIn is more of a professional place. And so a lot of things that you can share in there. So Sarah asked a question, is YouTube the best place to store and share videos from? Yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
So, so what's the challenge with Google? Because that's what I do them in now, is in Google.
Well, the challenge is part of your responsibility when you create a video is to get closed captioning, for one.
Right.
So YouTube does this automatically, right? You got to make sure, I think you got to make sure the settings there.
I feel like Google does too, don't they?
Not normally, no.
Okay.
But YouTube that is what they specialize in.
Okay.
They specialize in video streaming. That is what they specialize in. Google does not do that. They own YouTube, but it's an entire different platform for do that. So I recommend that you just host it on YouTube and then link back to it into your class or embed it into your class. And, you know, part of that is they'll do a rough closed captioning. So if you're going to use that video over and over, then I would make sure that you get closed captioning tightened up, you know, clean it up. And I have instructions that I can certainly share for that. You know, if it's just going to be a, you know, kind of a one-time thing and you're going to redo it every year, you don't necessarily have to do it. It's got a rough enough transcription, unless you have somebody that really needs it. And then definitely you got to do it. I just do all mine. I just do. So at the end of this, you know, I will get this transcribed, and, you know, so when you see it, it'll be transcribed properly. So, but I definitely would use YouTube to host it. Now you can host it as public or private, or not private. Don't do private. No private. Unlisted. You can do public or unlisted and get it into your course. Very good. Moving on. Okay. Create an all about me instructor welcome page. You know, how they can get a hold of you, tell a little bit about your background, you know, and kind of keep it up to date. Tell them about your research interests. Tell them about, you know, what your favorite activities. If you like canoeing, you know, talk about canoeing. I mean, make it personal, right? Make it so they get to know you as a person. You know, and a lot of folks, you know, oh, I don't want to do that. A lot of folks get hung up. I don't like my picture. I don't like to see me on video. I don't like my voice. I don't like. Yeah, but in face-to-face courses, we show all that, right? And they get to know you and they get to like you. Why don't we do this in online courses, right? So it's kind of important. Highlight your, you know, your activities. So this is an example when I do a, you know, discussion forum. One of the first things is that icebreaker discussion or a welcome, you know, introduction, have everybody introduce themselves. The first thing I do is I put my introduction in there. This is an example of an introduction I did for a class. I have links talking about stuff I do, you know, where they can find me, how they can link to me, you know, I'm interested in reading, they can click on that, you know. So all that stuff is weaved in there, talking about my, you know, my academic progress. There's probably something in there. I didn't talk about my Air Force career, but, you know, other classes I have put that in there. Yeah, just, yeah, I like magic. So I also like World of Warcraft, you know, that I get out there and play World of Warcraft too, right? This starts to break down barriers, right? So Sarah, you know, Sarah added this comment. I didn't know you like magic. if she has an interest in that, we now have a connection, right? And you're trying to build these connections. You know, if they go in and share things and you look at it, you can start using that in your class. The number of classes that I have checked out that the instructor is not participating in the introduction discussion post is fascinating. It is overwhelmingly instructors are absent, and this is an opportunity to humanize that course. All right, course contains resources or activities to build a sense of class community, support open communication, establish trust. Do you provide opportunities to build community, or is your course more of a correspondence course? Seven out of 11s, 10 out of 11, 11 out of 11. Ending poll. Good job, folks. All right. So, does anybody, you know, for those that said no, because I don't know who it is, it's anonymous. How do I phrase this, right? So, opportunities to provide community. I guess what's holding you back, or where do you find the challenges? If anybody would like to share that, or it may be that you just don't have a course, an online course yet, and that's okay too. So if you don't have an online course, that's fine. But if you have, you know, if you got a course and you're not figuring out where to provide those opportunities, you want to talk about it for a second, I'd love to hear. So anybody? Don't forget to unmute if you're going to jump up there. And nobody's going to share. Okay, moving on. So one of the first things that you want to do to build this sense of community is you can have students update their profile page. And this is in the upper right-hand corner of Blackboard, where they can update their profile. I would encourage you to update your profile, because in a discussion board, for example, everybody looks like an egghead, right? Until you put a profile picture up there. Now, it does not have to be a profile picture of you. My dog Lukey, in many cases, looks a lot better than me. So, you know, I may want to put my dog Lukey up there because I love my lab. It could be, you know, it could be for a cause. It could be for all kinds of things. But the nice thing about it, when you see the discussions, you see these avatars and they become more individual, as opposed to it's just a number, right? That they become real people that have real interest and those kind of things, right? So you want to make sure that you update your profile and encourage your students to do that. You may want to make that as an assignment task to have them update their profile. Okay, that you give them points for it as part of your class. Creating an instructor profile. So this is kind of the same. This happened to be for Student Success Seminar. And, you know, once again, this is not necessarily my full profile, but this was part of the discussion. So it was, you know, my introduction and a lot of the same things that you'll see, you know, that you saw from the previous one. But what it does is it kind of models it for the students on that introduction, kind of sets the stage for how I want them to respond. And they did a fine job after that, okay? And as I mentioned before, any activities that you have out there, make sure that you are also a participant, okay? It's not just the students. The students want to hear from you. They want to get to benefit from your expertise. They want to get benefit from your humanity. So please participate. All right. This is a good one. Do you provide learner-to-learner collaboration activities? Learner-to-learner. Not just you to them, but learner-to-learner. Ten out of 11, 11 out of 11, nice. You guys rock. This is cool. All right, very good. Yeah, this should be an opportunity. Discussions are a great place to do this, but not just discussions, that you can have them, you know, I find Google absolutely a power tool in this case, because they can collaborate, they can build presentations together, they can build documents together, they can do a lot of things together and be able to collaborate and share things. So I'm a huge fan of the Google Suite just for those kind of things. One of the strategies that you may want to do is, you know, discussions can kind of be, you know, kind of overwhelming sometimes. That, you know, one, try to reduce the number of people in a discussion at one time, right? Having 24 students in a discussion at one time, that can be intense. Instead, break them up into groups, smaller groups. So that way, you know, otherwise the folks that come in and respond first, they tend to answer everything. And the rest of the students are like, how do I answer this? By breaking them up into smaller groups, there's more success with that. But also, one of the things that you can do is you can assign students, you know, each week, you know, a different student to be a moderator in those discussions, where depending on how you set up your discussion, you know, they could be leading it and having those probing questions and, you know, kind of keeping things going and encouraging others to stay on track. So that's one way that you can build this learner-to-learner collaboration. Yeah, VoiceThread, another powerful way of creating presentations, but Google presentations, you know, one of the things I love about Zoom is anybody can share their computer and share a presentation, and you can have group presentations, you know, as part of Zoom. So if you thought, well, the only time I can have them do a presentation was, you know, in a face-to-face class, that's not true. Zoom is a really powerful platform for being able to do that. And it may be a requirement for your group project, you know, a group project that you have in your class. Now, there's an expectation that your classes that are strictly online are asynchronous, that people don't have a need to, you know, come to one place at a time. But for an instructor, if you have, say, a group project where you're bringing in pairs, or you know, they're working three is a good number, because you know, there's a sense of synergy in there that 4 disrupts, right? 3 is kind of like the optimal number. But they can have this presentation, and you can set up a session where you come together on Zoom and they present their session, with the option that others can come in and sit in on that session and watch it, right? So that's an idea that you may want to, you know, kind of mess around with. But having students work on group collaboration projects is great. When I was working on my bachelor's degree, once upon a time, man, that's a long time. That was kind of the beginning of online classes, and we didn't have an LMS. We did not have a learning management system. Everything we did was through email, and collectively, we put together a technology. It was for a technical writing course, and we put together a plan. And somebody was in Japan, another one in Israel. I was in Belgium at the time. There was another one in the States. And we managed to build this document, and it brought tears to our instructor's eyes. You know, he was so fascinated how we were able to do that without these cool tools. Now, if we had these tools, it would be magic. You know, assigning projects, writing projects, you know, getting pairs of students to work together and do collaborative writing. We are doing this in this remote environment. We are working on plans remotely, sharing documents. This is the real world, folks. This is what we, you know, we are doing this. There is no reason students can't do the same thing. So don't shy away from those type of things. One of my favorite sites is called Diigo, D-I-I-G-O, and it is a social bookmarking site. It is a great tool for students. You can set up a group site and students can share resources, but you can also do this in Google. You can also do it in Blackboard, where students share resources that they are finding relevant to your course. You might as well learn something, you know, I mean, we spend a lot of time bringing content there, but you know, there's a lot of opportunity where we can be exposed to new things because you now have this crowdsourcing, go find it, you know, and they collect all these resources. And you can share these things and discuss them and, you know, make annotations to them. Lots of power. In my, in this, so just, you know, showing you that this is a social bookmarking site. Over time, I have collected close to 20,000 web links, and I have them arranged in a number of categories. My number one category is Evernote. It's a kind of a cool tool, but on all kinds of different topics, I have pulled together links. So, power tool. Another way to do collaboration is with a wiki. And a wiki it's kind of like a website that students can build information. And we have that capability in Blackboard. So you can do it in Blackboard, but you can also use a site like Google Sites in order to build a wiki. There's other wiki tools out there that you can do that, but probably for low, you know, as far as the technology that's involved, you know, Google Docs works great. Google Sites is a great place to do this, but just to build out these knowledge bases. And you know, you can make it a real world project where you can share the end document out with the rest of the world. That's kind of useful. So you can just kind of keep building on that knowledge. Do you provide a place where students can share resources? $11 out of 11. So, you know, this is an area you may want to think about a little bit. That, once again, we want students to be able to do some critical thinking and be able to go out and be able to find resources through the rest of their life, this idea of lifelong learning. And so a lot of stuff that they find, it could be crap, okay? But why? And this becomes a learning moment that you can help them, you know, as they're finding resources, help them figure out how to, you know, discern between what is a good resource and what is not. Because there's so much information. So this is an opportunity for them to be able to do that. The other thing is when they're doing this, as they're pulling this stuff in, they're working on the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. where they are doing analysis and synthesis and reflection, and they're pulling this information together, being able to apply that information. So the higher you can get on blooms, that's kind of our aim, and what we should be trying to do in our classes. If they are posting things in a discussion, okay, hold on before I go to that. Shannon, yes ma'am.
One thing I found too is that this can help to boost the quality of response posts. So
Absolutely.
we know that everybody goes, good job, nice response post, and that's useless.
Yes,
but I have found like telling them a good response post will add a resource for your student or for your classmate to use for their paper or for whatever. So it can kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, absolutely. I entirely agree. And this is what we're talking about right here is when they're in a discussion post, a couple things that I require. One, go find me an outside resource. So they're required to go find something, at least in my discussion post. And also justify why you chose it. So they need to put a response there to say, this is why, I chose this, this is how it applies. This is, why it's particularly useful. But, in overall grading discussions, you need to have some sort of rubric that I grade on a scale of 0 to 3. If somebody just says, hey, I agree, they get 0 points, right? If they give me something that's, scholarly, and we're not talking crazy scholarly, discussions are supposed to be informal. But if they give me something, where they're extending the conversation, they're adding good resources, they're providing a lot of reason how they're moving through this, then I will, I will share that. I will give them 3 points for that, and then, it's kind of on a scale between that. And the rubric is kind of in my head. I work, I've done this with both student success, but also my grad students, so I have in my mind what is a good discussion post, and, going from there. So, and I have a strategy, and I can certainly share my strategy for how I run discussions and how I think about them. And I'd be willing to sit down with anybody to talk about the discussions, because I think, it's useful, and Shannon's willing to share. So cool. Yeah, let's do it. Blogs are another tool that you can get some good writing. So normally we have students write a response and send it to the instructor, and that's it. Or, they're crafting, usually a project, but it's only between the instructor and the student. You can extend that with blogs. You can have them write an essay, a piece, put it in a blog, and you can keep it, in Blackboard, for example. But what you can do is open it up for student commentary. And so you can have a longer piece that they need to post, get student commentary on how to improve it, and then maybe, have an opportunity to provide something better. So blogs are, can be powerful, that you can send students out to research various topics and pull that into a blog post, which is shared with the rest of their students. It's good stuff. So I strongly encourage blogs, and, I definitely would encourage moving that, if you can make it real world. The blog that I currently have, my personal blog, started from a class assignment, and it's gone, I'm 700, 800 posts, I don't know, something like that. you know, another thing that you can do, not only have a discussion moderator, but you can also have a forum scribe, where the scribe basically at the end of the week pulls everything together, identifies what the, you know, the key discussions, key arguments are, you know, what resources were being shared, all that stuff. And they, you know, that's kind of like the final post for that week's post. And, you know, that can be a graded assignment for each student in just summarizing it. Otherwise, you can summarize it, but you can do that. Now, another strategy kind of in line with this is having group notes. So like in a face-to-face class, you can assign a student, you know, maybe a different student each class, to take group notes in Google Docs, type out the notes, or multiple students taking notes at the same time, and that are shared with the rest of the students, right? So different ways to approach this. Another strategy that you may want to consider is annotated bibliographies, where you have students going out, finding these resources, writing them up, why they chose them, but I mean, just kind of annotated bibliography, you know, depending on the topic. All kind, you know, we have all kinds of different disciplines here and lots of great resources out there. And annotated bibliographies have always been a great tool, but have usually been between the student and the instructor. And why not share it with the rest of the students? Right? So they build their resource lists. Okay. Oh, we already talked about this. We are towards the end. Holy smokes. All right, so just a couple things to remind you of, right? Make sure that everything is kind of clear. You let students know when they expect to hear from you, and try to honor that as much as possible. If in the event that you're not going to be able to honor it, you have to go to a conference or something, let them know, right? They have no problem. They have no problem at all with that, okay? Making sure everything's clear. Create a mechanism where they can provide you feedback on things where there's not clear. And for Google Docs, I turn on comments. I share it as a comment document so they can make comments so I can improve my course for them and for future students. Be part of the course, right? Absolutely critical. Be human, be part of the course, share all the likes and dislikes. You know, just be human. And don't worry about, you know, oh, I don't like how I am on video. Get past that, right? Everybody here, look at me, okay? You know, everybody else is head and shoulders about where I'm at, right? You just have to go do it because it is helping people. It's helping your students learn the content. Get past that. You face-to-face classes, you're not hidden behind a screen. They see you. That's just how it is, okay? So just get out there. Be real, okay? Create this sense of community. Create exercises, create opportunities where they can share. There is a thing called the community of inquiry. The community of inquiry, it has 3 parts to this. It's a Venn, you know, kind of a Venn diagram, how I normally see it. You have cognitive presence, you have teacher presence, and you have social presence. And all of these are important parts of the experience. The cognitive presence is the dialogue between the student and the content. So the content that you pulled together in the class, you want them to read it, you want them to reflect on it. That is the cognitive presence. The teacher presence is your involvement in the course, your interaction with the students. That is all part of the teacher presence. You know, everything that you add to the course, that is part of the teacher presence. And then the social presence is the learner to learner presence. So all those things come together and make this community of inquiry. So if you have never heard of it, go check it out. Good stuff. Okay. Learner to learner interaction. So that is one of those elements of the learner or community of inquiry, right? Where they have an opportunity to learn from each other. And creating the opportunity where they can add their own knowledge and share. So let me put it out there for questions. Do you guys have questions on today's little presentation? Feel free to dive on the mic while I go find resources for you guys. All these great questions that you had. So the first one that I'm going to share, where'd it go? Okay. Is this document that I told you to hang on until the last that I would share with you, right? So, oh, I just shared it with Sarah. Oh man, because she did like private message stuff.
It must be
All right.
special. Thanks, Dan.
No, you threw the private thing and messed me up here. Okay, so Shannon, if you have rubrics, you can send them to me, and I will add them to figure out a way to get them out to everybody.
Okay.
That'd be great. Let me see if I can find my stuff. Anybody have anything? Any thoughts? Did it kind of make sense? Am I totally off base here?
No, it did. I wonder about, so this was, sorry I missed the other ones. This was the fifth one?
This was the fifth one.
And what are where do I find the other ones I'm guessing you recorded?
Yeah, I'm waiting for further instructions. See you, Tammy. Further instructions from Nelson on something, and then I'm supposed to put a page out and, you know, all this stuff. But I have the other sessions. Matter of fact, I'll just be a nice guy right now and share.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
what all of this does for me, I mean, it's all really good stuff, but it makes me realize things like, these are not directly related, but like, I don't know how to put together a good PowerPoint. Like your PowerPoints were good and appropriate. I don't know how to set things up properly in Blackboard. I get the idea of the content that should be in there, but I don't know like the best way to, I don't know, where do I put the expectations? How do I organize the things in Blackboard? And how do I create an annotated bibliography assignment? So all these things are so good, but I think I guess I feel like I need more learning. And how do you then do all of this stuff? I mean, this is good. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, so here's a pop quiz real quick. For this slide deck that I had, that we talked for 53 minutes, how many slides did I show you?
10 maybe? I don't know.
Any other guesses? Jacob says 33.
Some of them you showed us twice.
50, 75, 37. $47 slides. Okay. Did it feel like 47 slides? And there's Sarah throwing that private thing out there. Crap. All right. Cool. So my slide deck, for example, you know, and I've given a presentation on this at other institutions and even JCC once upon a time, kind of uses that brain science, right? That neuroscience on how our brain actually learns. That we use bullet points, right? So PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint is a real thing. right? People have like fallen asleep, banged their head, fell back, not you know, and the reason is bullets. Bullets kill. Bullets kill. Right? So death by PowerPoint is because you have bullets. Get rid of the bullets, right? There is not one bullet on my PowerPoint deck. Also, if you think back to documentaries, a documentary doesn't have bullets. Think of the last documentary that you had bullets. There's no bullets. Okay, so that is definitely something. So let me find, you guys were asking for some other resources. Hold on, I got you for a few seconds, so let me do that. What other questions, comments, thoughts? Sarah, you make a great point. So one, we have a template, a great place to start that talks about, you know, kind of gives you a framework to put all this good stuff in, right? So I would encourage you to definitely look at that.
Is it on the TEI website, the template?
No, well, you can make a request. So I haven't put it up there yet, but you can go in and make a request for it.
Gotcha. I know how to do that.
Okay. And I think that the one link I think for grading and discussions, oh yeah, I put the rubric in there, right? So it shows my strategy for doing discussions. So I look forward to seeing Shannon's strategies. But any of these topics, you know, feel free to, you know, ping me. That's what we're here for, right? We're here to help you solve these problems. You know, these presentations are big overviews. You know, hey, this is the direction that we should be going, but they may introduce a lot more questions than answers. And so if you have those additional questions like, hey, I like that, I want to do that in my class, how do I go about doing it? Well, all right. So that may be something, if enough people ask questions, that I do a separate presentation on that, or I just help you, you know, the one with the question, solve that problem. So yeah. But, you know, this idea of humanizing an online course, right? This is how to take your course to the next level, is just be a human in your course, right? Instead of read the content, take the test, read the content, take the test, read the you know, that's a correspondence course. And I've seen a lot of courses like that. Having the human element is critical. Thoughts, comments, anything?
And I just wanted to ask a question about the 10-minute rule that you were insinuating about the YouTube videos.
Yes.
So if I'm doing a video in conjunction with a PowerPoint or Google slide that I have, and I want to, you know, record myself talking about the PowerPoint, do you recommend that we just keep those presentations to under 10 minutes and break them up, or just really summarize them really concisely so that they stay under 10 minutes instead of trying to do the whole PowerPoint or the whole Google slide presentation?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I strongly recommend a strategy called thin slicing. Okay, so what thin slicing is you're focused on one narrow objective, right? And so all you do is speak about that one narrow objective, and that's it. And then another video is, you know, a continuation of that, you know, in a different way, and that you do that. And the reason, there's multiple reasons why. One, if the information changes, you don't have to redo a 30-minute presentation. That's one, right? So this will save you work in the end. The other reason is it allows you to, it's one, this idea of chunking, right? That you've reduced it to this narrow piece. You can then use it in other classes, right? So you can make it so it's independent of that one particular class. So as you know, your students are progressing and going to advanced levels of your discipline, you may refer back to a video. And instead of saying, hey, here's this video, go to 23 minutes and 30 seconds to see when I talked about this, you can just give them that chunk. The other thing is, think about your video watching behavior. What is the first thing you do when somebody sends you a video? How long is that video? Your students do this. They will watch 10 5-minute videos, but not watch a 50-minute video. Okay. It also allows them the flexibility that they can walk down a series of your videos knowing that, okay, I can watch these 3, then I have to go to work. I can come back, pick up on number 4. Oh, now I have to go babysit. Now I can do 6, 7, and 8. That by having one long video, it's not a success story, right? That doesn't mean that there aren't times where you want them to watch a long video. I mean, folks will watch a 2-hour movie, 3-hour movie, right? They'll Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, you know, they'll watch those kind of things. But keep them short. So that's my recommendation. Yes, ma'am.
If I'm recording a synchronous class that's going to be 50 minutes, can I, when I put it up in YouTube, can I edit it into section? Can I break it up then after I've recorded it, or do I need to stop every 10 minutes? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, there's capabilities where you can. I mean, if you use Camtasia, you can go and split it, or there's other software where you can split it. You can certainly do that. To sit in a class, I recommend that you record this very separately from something you would do in a class, right?
Well, but if I'm doing a synchronous lecture,
right.
I mean, that it's going to probably be 50 minutes.
Correct.
I think, Sarah, what you could do though is post, like I use Screencast-O-Matic, and you could post, your PowerPoints split up with Screencast-O-Matic, and then say, post the entire class if people just want to watch it all the way through.
I guess I have to look into what Screencast-O-Matic. I'm just planning on some students not being able to attend the live sessions, my synchronous sessions.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a free recording tool. So I do my voiceover PowerPoint lectures with it.
Do you record those prior to your lecture?
I'm going to be, yeah.
But then what are you going to be doing for your synchronous lectures?
Well, I probably won't lecture in a synchronous way.
I will.
Really limited.
I guess that's the difference. I will be lecturing synchronously.
So here's an example for you, right? It's possible. I think, my opinion of this, you will not end up with a better product. Okay, and here's why I say this, right? We have done I've done 5 sessions here. I'm recording them simply because I just wanted to give them once. Session number 3, I failed to record. My mistake. So I had to go record it again.
Ugh.
So all these sessions have been running about an hour. Session number 3 ran 33 minutes. It was tighter because I wasn't doing the polling, I wasn't doing the conversation, those kind of things. So, part of it is, what do you want students, is that conversation, important? Is the content important? If you want them to learn about, certain skills, certain knowledge, take out the extraneous conversations and that way. So.
Okay.
Anybody else? Hi, Andrew.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Hey, so I had a quick thought. I haven't done this, but Sarah has piqued my turning my gears. So on YouTube, because I'm doing the same thing that she's doing, and I'm going to be doing it synchronous this next semester. And one thing I was like, how am I gonna? It's an hour long, and even I don't like to watch hour-long videos, and my students are not going to rewatch my videos if they can't meet. They're just going to say, hey, what's the homework? So only other way I could think of as a small solution would be on YouTube. If you post your hour-long video on YouTube, you can create timestamps in the description, and then you can categorize them by introduction, and then assignment number 2 or project. We'll be discussing project number 3 coming up, timestamp at 37 minutes. And then the students can just click on that, and you can notify that to the students. Then the only downside would be, right, is just extra work for the faculty to go back and timestamp everything.
Sure.
But that would help students.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, there's all kinds of other things, setting learning prompts, so the videos, so they're getting, so, I mean, there's just all kinds of different ways to do it. But really keep in mind what you want the result to be, right? Is it for you or for them, right? So going out and recording a synchronous lecture, right, that's more for me, right? That's how do I save me time, but
I disagree. I think it's for the students that can't attend. I mean, I'm not doing it for me. I mean, unless the school's going to pay me to teach it multiple times for every student. But
sure, but you can, how many times do you give that class, right?
Once a year.
Yeah, once, but it is only one session and stuff.
Yeah, for mine. I know OT is a little different than maybe some of the
Sure,
other.
but there's a lot of knowledge and skills that basically carry over from year to year, and to build really honed videos around those particular topics kind of gets them to stand alone. So yeah, you could certainly create that hour-long video, but I would supplement it with, here we're talking about shoulders for this particular purpose. Somebody had a dislocated shoulder, and here are specific things, boom, 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 and then you just focus on that, and that's it. Where you may have been, in that hour-long lecture, talking everything from phalanges to shoulder and, those kind of things. So really, yeah.
Phalanges, I love it.
So, and depending on which direction we're going. So, anyways, I think there's a lot of power of having really thin sliced, objective, focused videos. A lot more power than just, here's an hour presentation. You asked my opinion, that's my thoughts, and based on a lot of stuff I keep reading about that particular topic. So
I do plan to have skill videos also, but just, for students that can't attend my classes, I want to have something else. But I hear you.
Okay. Greg, hi.
Yeah, hi. I have a couple questions.
Yes,
but
sir.
Actually, I might address it to Shannon as well, because she mentioned Screencast-O-Matic, and that's actually what I've been using for my web lectures, is Screencast-O-Matic. But you brought up the problem. I can do the webcast fine, or the web video fine. I haven't figured out how to put in the closed caption. So far, I haven't had students who need it, but I think it's essential that I know, and I'm not sure how to do it. I was hoping there was some automatic way, some button I pushed, and it would automatically do it for me. Do I have to transcribe them in?
No, you don't. So at the end of Screencast-O-Matic, I already have my YouTube, my JCC YouTube page open. When you get to the end of your lecture in Screencast-O-Matic, it says either upload onto your, computer or upload into YouTube.
Okay.
And even if you upload it into your computer, for instance, you can still transfer it to YouTube. But I put it into
Yes.
YouTube, and then you have to give it like 10 or 15 minutes because it's, you can start the editing for the title and all that stuff.
Yes.
But you have to give it 10 or 15 minutes for it to start actually just generating the automatic closed captions.
Okay.
So then it will put the automatic closed captions in. And for some topics, it's really smooth and easy. For, human evolution, it does not always translate my terms like Australopithecus really well. Then I go back in through YouTube and edit those captions.
Yep. And I put a link in the chat on the strategy, the way that I do closed captioning. So I'll just be honest, for this presentation today, one of the things I'll do is I'll go make sure it's closed captioned. So, when I record anymore, I used to recommend Go Video and Screencast-O-Matic and Screencastify and all these things. I now do Zoom. That's what I do. I use Zoom to record my videos, and because I can show a PowerPoint, I can do all those things. So that's what I do. And I tell it to record, and as soon as I'm done here, it will record and save to my computer. I will then take it, move it to YouTube. One of the things it does is it gives me an audio file. Now, I spend a little money out of my pocket because I don't have a budget for these things. But I use a service called Go Transcript, and I will send that audio file to them, and they will send me a transcript back. Then I upload it to YouTube, and it'll do all the pairing correctly. So, that's how I've been doing it. So.
Well, I realized there was a problem for what I was doing, and I will admit that. And so I was hoping that would come up at some point
Right.
in the discussions here. So I appreciate that. I'll be honest, my lectures, I just basically am doing my lectures and uploading them, and they are about an hour long.
Right.
So the history lecture, I don't know how you do it otherwise.
Well, like I said, you can with history, you can still break it into smaller videos, and I would
probably could.
That. And because when you're talking about, say the Revolutionary War, that you have, you're talking about the Boston Massacre for, one instance, but that may be part of a whole, that's only a segment of the, Revolutionary War, that you're talking about that, and Paul Revere, and, the move on to New York, just all kinds of things that you can break them into smaller segments and, approach it that way. So that.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that suggestion, and I will really definitely for the future consider how to do that. I'm finding it hard to imagine. You mentioned the Revolutionary War, and I don't want to take up too much time, but so for instance, my Origins of the American Revolutionary War lecture is called Reformation, Renaissance, or Enlightenment.
Right.
And I'm looking at the ideological origins of the American Revolutionary War. So there are quite a few PowerPoint slides, and it can take quite a while, and breaking that up. I'm just not sure I know quite how to do it, but I will definitely think about this because I'm always open to trying to improve and make my class.
Yeah, so, just feel free to check in with me, and, we'll get together on Zoom, and we can see what you're doing, and
yep.
See
And I'd like to do that.
Better. So, yeah.
I'd like to do that, Stan. I appreciate it very much. And I've been trying to attend all of these. I've attended most of them, and I think they've been very good and very helpful. Thanks.
So one of the things that you can do is towards the bottom of the chat, where you put your message in there. Over to the right side, it says File, and if you click that, well, there used to be there's 3 dots. If you click on the 3 dots, you can save the chat, and then you'll have the links that have been shared in this. So
Okay, did that. Thank you.
yeah, so you can go back and find that. So
I appreciate that a lot.
all right, folks. Anything else?
No? Live long and prosper.
Are you gonna? Can you share the chat with us? The
Sure.
chat, please.
I just told you
I
how
know.
to do share the chat.
Oh, I missed that. I was typing you an email.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Sorry.
so down there where you type your message, right? You see the 3 dots where,
I don't have my 3 dots.
so you got the chat open? Can you see the chat?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't realize we could all save our own.
Yes.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yep.
Nice. I thought only the host could save it. Thank you.
See? The things we learn. I can feel the minds
That's
expanding. So
It's true. It hurts my brain. Every time I meet with you, Stan, it hurts my brain.
I know, and it's sad I don't get to pop in and just like dump all the stuff on you and walk out, because I know it's like crap. Why did he come? So
well, we'll get back to that at some point, I hope.
yeah, sometime. So
All right.
very
Thank
cool.
you.
You're welcome. Jamie, what were you?
Oh,
Okay.
see you guys. I'm out.
All right. See you later. Jeff, anything? New norm? Shannon?
I'm good. I messed up my computer.
Right on. All right, folks. Well, if there's nothing else, I want to wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Okay.
Thanks, Stan.
All right. Have a great one. See ya.